Good morning. What I'd like to do for the next 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, is basically give you a guide to DISA. As most of you know, we've moved around a fair amount and changed a lot of things. So what we wanted to do is make sure you're still current on who's doing what to whom and how we're going. And then I'll finish up with a couple of thoughts on acquisition and procurement. As the slides have already progressed, you can see that we have another distinction between the Joint Force Headquarters, Doden, and DISA. And what I try to show in this particular chart is that the bulk of the activity, the contracting activity that the agency performs is at the DISA itself. DISA supports the Joint Force Headquarters, Doden, from an ADCON perspective. The GSMO contract is probably the biggest contract we use to support the Joint Force Headquarters, Doden, but there are others as well, smaller ones. But the bottom line is the bulk of the contracting at DISA, the bulk of the contracting that we offer comes from DISA proper. Next slide, please. In terms of the leadership at DISA, the only person that truly belongs to both entities is General Lin. He reports to both Dr. Zangardi at the DoD-CIO and Admiral Rogers at the U.S. Cyber Command. And there, as you can see that dotted line down the center, that distinguishes the two organizations and the leadership of those two organizations. So two distinct organizations that come together with DISA at the top with General Lin. But as I say, the APCON goes to Cyber Command for Joint Force Headquarters, but ADCON goes to DISA itself. So again, we support the Joint Force Headquarters. Next slide, please. So this is, if you will, a high-level, very, very high-level chart, basically focused on contracting or acquiring, if you will. This is the acquirers, and those are the organizations that acquire. Build, please. And these are the pretty faces of those that are leading those organizations. And these are the key players that, if you will engage you as you deal with this involving various contracts and the like. Now understand that's the leadership, and it's not a perfect solution. There are a couple of cats and dogs and whatever, but this is the leadership of those folks, or those folks that are available and should be available, their calendars should be available to speak to you as you proceed and look into getting contract activity with us. As you can see, we have Admiral Creighton in the upper left-hand corner. Again, she relies upon DISA. We have General Dravis. Now, he will speak to you later on today and give you some more specifics on the joint service provider. Then, of course, in the fifth, what we call our fifth estate, we have Roger Greenwell. Again, he'll speak to you. Alan Lewis, and Chad Radicke, for some reason, he's distracted with an individual in the who's currently in the Asian theater of operations. Okay, and then finally you've got Mr. Rivera at the bottom on the left. He will be talking to you today. However, Mr. Bennett, he is in the Middle East, so we have Mr. Jesse Showers who'll be talking to you today. Okay, next, please. Okay, and if we can go through the organization, so on our left side, you have to know our jargon. That's our business center, our development and business center. That's Mr. Alfred Rivera, supported by Mr. Stu Timmerman. Okay, and you can see the various functions they have, and to build on that, next, please. If you take a look at the Joint Interoperability Test Center, we have Captain Johnson. Okay, he handles that. And we have Mr. Mark Hawcom, who is an NSA executive who is on loan to DISA, who is currently leading the NBIS initiative. We will not have a presentation on NBIS today per se. NBIS is, there's not much in the way of contract activity. We are going with an OTA solution, which is already in the process. So we won't have much in the way of presentation for that today. Next, please. Okay, and you have Mr. John Hickey and Mr. Carpenter, okay, Mr. Terry Carpenter. These two gentlemen have all of our development efforts, our cyber development efforts and our business and command and control development efforts. So I'll break those out. Next, please. So for John Hickey, you can see the various cyber solutions. He's got just about everything we have as it relates to cyber, okay, in terms of contract activity. Okay, when it comes, next please. When it comes to business and command and control activity, okay, you have Mr. Terry Carpenter. Again, these are the gentlemen that are in charge of the development activities, which of course lead to contractual activities. if you will. Next, please. We have on the right side of the agency, again, you have to know our jargon, we have Mr. Dave Bennett, who, again, is in the Middle East. Next, please. Now, again, those are the two biggest areas he has in terms of contract activity. Jesse Showers is responsible for basically the communications of that we provide in terms of a service, and Mr. Jason Martin is responsible for our services, those things above layer 3, where I get a headache. Next, please. Okay, Jesse. Okay, anybody know anything about satellites? Jesse has the satellites, of course, the communications infrastructures, the Hawaiian situation, et cetera, et cetera. So that's Jesse Showers. Okay, next, please. And now Jason Martin, he has, as I say, all of the services that we provided, to include the decks themselves. So we call them today, we call that entire system, the deck system, the ecosystem. Jason Martin is responsible for all of those. Okay, next, please. And then finally, these are the facilitators of acquisition, if you will. You've got the individual, the program management type that says, yeah, this is what I want, but then these people that actually understand the rules, okay, get involved, and they start holding us accountable and making sure we've got our requirements clearly articulated, and we have the funds to actually commit to the individual. So these are some of the key players. They're not all of the key players, but they're some of the key players. As you can see, Ms. Katrina Brisbane has moved on, and those of you who know her, she's moved on to TSA, where she has taken over as the head of contracting. So we'll be looking for a replacement for her. But these are the folks that are facilitating our getting things on contract. And of course, I'll be followed by Mr. Packard himself. And then next, please. Now, this is a little bit of a philosophy slide, but if I could, I'd like to finish on a note of a constructive note, in the sense that, first of all, in terms of contract consolidation, please understand, we have to consolidate our contracts. We have the reorganization of 2015, which has caused a lot of trauma in the agency, also allowed us to realize we had duplicate contracts. Because of the way we had established scope primarily, we had identical contracts with different vendors performing exactly the same mission. Rest assured, we are wasting an awful lot of money. We owe that to you as well as everyone else to clean that up. So contract consolidation is the order of the business. And whenever we see an opportunity, that's what we're going to go for. But we're not going to do it foolishly. We recognize there are certain areas that do need that unique contract. So, but please bear with us. We're putting a lot of brain cells towards that particular effort. Accountability, okay? We all understand how tough the environment is. We recognize that you have to be aggressive in going after the bids and the like. But please, if you get the bid, please put the A team on the solution set. Giving the bid to a vendor and then he turns up with the C team doesn't do anybody any favors. We've had some recent incidents where we frankly have canceled the option years, and for us to cancel an option year is a very significant thing. Okay, normally, we go, if you get options on a contract, you got it, okay? You're going to get it because we seek the path of least resistance like anybody else does, okay? Going for another contract is hard. But I'll tell you, if you're not performing or for some reason we decide to not execute the option, it's a hell of a lot easier to not execute the option than go for a T for C. So please, that's happened. That's happened just as recently as a couple of months ago. Please don't do that. The program involved wound up slipping a year. A war-fighting program, a command and control program slipped a year because we had to kill an option. Okay, so please, if you're going to bid it aggressively. Yes, we need you to bid it. We want you to be healthy when you bid. But by the same token, once you get it, you got to perform. Okay, we have to hold it. And then the obligation is for you to perform. But your obligation is to make us perform. And if we are sending you down rabbit holes and the like, and we will, you've got to guard against that. So it's a team sport. We've got to hold each other accountable, but we've got to be a team. So it's they seem to be dichotomies there, but we have to work together. Okay, the last thing I wanted to mention, and you'll get a deeper briefing on this, is OTA. Okay, we have got the ability to reach reach you via OTA. It is an innovative way of contracting. I won't get into the details of how it is, but please, folks, it's available to virtually everybody. You just have to figure out what the rules are. You've got to get your lawyers involved, find out where the methods and means of getting in there, but OTA's been around since the early 90s, okay? It's been expanded, it's been loosened up, it's an alternative way of getting to you, so please make sure you've evaluated or at least taking a look at whether you and your company can participate. And when OTA has room for big business and room for small business, okay? So please, take a run on it. Now, you'll get a detailed briefing on it in a few minutes, so I won't go into the details of that, because I'll probably say something wrong, but I do know everybody's authorized to get there. So with that, I'm out of altitude and airspeed, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can.
Thank you, Mr. Montemarano. Before we ask questions, I want to remind our audience that all today's slides are available on the Forecast to Industry 2017 page on www.disa.mil.
Yeah, and notice on those slides, there's phone numbers. Phone numbers work much better than email. Okay, we all get pummeled with email. Call us. If you need to get in to see us, call us. Again, email doesn't work well.